Let me start by welcoming you all to Mwambao Media. I'm Collins Mangicho, and based on today's topic, that is strengthening multi-stakeholders in collaboration to realize the Children's Act 2022 in the affirmative opportunities based on children diversity. I believe, let me also say that I'm privileged to host different stakeholders in such a very interactive forum, rather webinar. I will start by calling upon Mr. Nolly, maybe to just introduce yourself a little bit, then we'll round it up to Faiza, Musa.
Thank you so much. My name is Nolly Wilson Raye, and I work with Kuza Livelihood Improvement Projects. And we are a community-based organization that is based here in Mombasa, and we are into different programs, one including on child protection and safeguarding. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes. Hope you're getting me right.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can get you.
Okay, great. Just maybe you can give us a little bit of introduction based on your area of interest.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yes, I think you can introduce yourself, Faiza.
Oh, okay. I was lost at some point. Okay, good evening. My name is Faiza Musa. I work at the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Coast Regional Office. We are a national commission set out under Article 59 of the Constitution of Kenya. We are independent. Alongside other things, we also undertake. You can't hear me? Okay. You can get me now?
Yes, you're audible, Faiza.
Or should I start again, Ama?
Yeah, sure, if you don't mind.
Okay, so my name is Faiza Musa. I work at the Kenya National Coast Regional Office. And we are a national independent commission set out under Article 59 of the Constitution of Kenya. Among other things, receiving complaints and documenting and conducting investigations. Among other things, we also undertake children matters. Yes, and I'm happy to join you for today's session.
Oh, All right, thank you so much. We just go straight, Mr. Nolly. What is the background of Children's Act 2022? Maybe you can just give us a little, maybe an experience of Children's Act 2022. What is the main background?
Okay, thank you so much. The background of children's rights is on the UN Convention on the rights of the child, which was UNCRC, UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, that took effect in 1989. That is when children issues were being discussed globally. And so in 1990, we had the African Charter on the rights and welfare of the child that was also passed. And then after the African Charter in 2001, we had our first Children's Act. And after a series of development and progresses within our country, of course, one devolution, two, the changing dynamics on children issues, thereby came the need of actually relooking into the Children's Act of 2001. So there has been a number and a series of consultations between varied stakeholders and partners, both locally and beyond, and the government, because in 2010 we had the current Kenyan Constitution coming into place. So the 2010 Constitution brought about devolution, and in devolution there were some functions that were taken to the counties. So because of also that aspect of devolving some functions on children to the counties, there was need of relooking into the Children's Act. So in 2002, we had the president. In July, we had the president assenting to the act, and it became law. So basically, that has been the journey towards the current Children's Act that we have. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you so much, Mr. Nolly, for the background based on Children's Act 2022. To our legal officer, Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, what are some of the achievements or rather developments to children's rights that have we seen on the Act, if maybe you have come across such kind of an Act?
Okay, thank you, Collins. Probably by now, like everyone who is attending this session has to go through the Act. If you are handling children matters, then you have to go through the Act. So I can say the first gain so far in the Act is the emphasis on the alternative family care system instead of the institutions where children in need of care and protection were placed. Secondly, we have the recognition and provision of the intersex children, which is set out in different, from the definition of terms to their rights set out in the Act. So that's something that is again in the new Act, which was not previously in the Children's Act of 2001. The other thing is the emphasis on the non-custodial sentences of children in cases of minor offenses, and you find that some of these cases, they are being placed under diversion, where children are in conflict with the law, and then you find that detention is now as a matter of last resort. So they are trying to ensure that non-custodial sentence plays a role in reforming these children. In addition to that, it presents parental responsibility, which is the responsibility of taking care of a child is both for both parents, in both the father and the mother. We find that the best interest of the child is clearly set out as a key thing in the Act, which is a guiding principle in everything that is being undertaken in matters relating to children. We can also see in the Act one of the other gain is the contemplation of alternative dispute resolution mechanism, and this is especially diversion, which is by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. And you find that whenever they undertake diversion, they have to include also the children officers in these minor offenses. So you find that one of the gains is also alternative dispute resolution instead of the custodial sentences, or the whole process of taking the children in conflict with the law through the court processes. And finally, we also have the financial provision set out clearly and how it's going to be guided under the Act. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That was quite clear. I'll just go straight to Mr. Nolly. You have seen so many organizations trying to try to protect and safeguard children's rights by coming up with ideas or rather views so that they can enhance good child protection. What are the opportunities that organizations can work in to achieve to make sure that children's rights are achieved?
So thank you so much for that question. Number one, I'd want to emphasize that in relation to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNCRC, there are what I'd call four pillars of children's rights, which is the right to life and survival, then the right to development, the right to participation, the right to protection. So as organizations, we are mandated for children and on behalf of children, because we know children are persons who are not of legal age. That basically means they cannot stand to defend themselves in case they are faced with any form of danger. And also we find that there are some times and instances where children are in need of care and protection. So we as an organization, we come in to provide for the children, for those who need care, children who need care in the form of the basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter. So as organizations, there are those who have an opportunity to do humanitarian services to children. And these humanitarian services are majorly aimed at seeing that that child actually gets to develop. And then also in terms of protection, because at times comes when children fall into danger, like in the case of pandemic, the COVID pandemic. So also as individuals, as parents, as caregivers, as organizations, it is also our responsibility and our duty to be able to look into the need of making sure that all the children that are within our scope of work or within us are actually given that safeguarding or protection so that they can be able to be safe. Like in the case of the COVID pandemic, it took the state to make sure that children are put in a safe place. It took the state to intervene and children were stopped from going to school, and then things were changing virtually. So even you come that when the country is being invaded by enemies, it's the duty of the state to protect children. So we have another role as persons who are working for children to make sure that children are given the right to live and to survive. And another thing is that we are also called upon to make sure that we create opportunities and platforms for children to get to air their views and to build their concerns, because you'll find that even children's voices matter and children have a right to participation. So when we are undertaking a process that is domestic based, that is institutional based, or that is country based, it is also our duty to create that opportunity and that platform that children can come in together and they are able to participate in what is being discussed. So creating that platform and opportunity for children to get to air their views, to air their concern, and to be part and parcel of issues that are affecting us is also a responsibility and a duty that we have in alignment with the Children's Act. And then still, lastly, apart from life and survival protection, participation, there is the aspect of development. We are supposed and expected to create environment where our children are able to develop, to thrive, to maximize their potentials, so that when children get to rise and to be in a space where they're able to get knowledge, they're able to build on their talent. So those are some of the spaces and places and opportunities that we are called upon as stakeholders, as partners, as individuals, to make sure that our children grow and thrive within us. So thank you so much for that. Back to you.
Thank you. Still on that, maybe has there been a gap, maybe in trying to create such kind of spaces, maybe a challenge also?
Okay. Challenges are there. They exist, and like I've indicated, the act that we have today took process more than 21 years, from the 2001 Children's Act to now the 2022 Children's Act. It's a new act. Yeah. So the new act has provided for new provisions and new provisions and new conversations. Like, you'll find that the structure that is mandated to handle children issues, that is nationally, we have what we call the National Council for Children's Services. Within this act, it has provided for what we'll call county advisory committees that are established from the act. So challenge one is the existence of those structures. And these committees are supposed to be placed up to the lowest level of administration, that is the ward and the location. So that structure. And then number two, we've observed challenge in terms of resource allocations for the purposes of advancing children issues, activities, and processes. So you'll find that the ministry that is mandated with children issues nationally is lumped within other ministries. So getting the requisite allocation to undertake activities, both at the state level, becomes another challenge. And then the complexity of our people. People are yet to recognize that children's rights are human rights. And you'll find that in most of the things that we're doing, we are not actually putting the interest of the child first. You'll find that we are moving into an election, like for example, we're in an election period. Few of us as parents, few of us as guardians, and even our society took the time to train to involve our children in determining who will be the best leader. So another context is that even in our own households, when it comes to times when a household is bereaved, when either of the parents has passed on, in very rare cases, in very rare situations, you find that even the children are comforted. So as a society, we are yet to recognize and appreciate that even children are important component and their rights ought to be pursued. And then also you'll find that in some of our societies, there is the aspect of ignorance. Ignorance in the sense that a child might be violated. Say, for example, it's an early marriage, which is happening in a low income community. So this child is going to be married off, and you'll find that the parent is ignorant that early marriage is a contravention, a violation of the children's rights. And you'll find that because of that ignorance, we end up getting children being denied their right to growth and development. And majorly also in what we are doing or we are practicing, we find that we've not yet created that structure where our children are able to grow, to express themselves, to speak for themselves, to be able to be appreciated and recognized. So thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was very, very insightful, message for people to get to understand what kind of spaces does organization have in terms of protecting and safeguarding the children's rights. Just to a legal officer, Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, what are those new options, or rather social security, that are the results of Children's Act. Those new care options that maybe you have come across.
Okay, thank you, Collins. So you find that the new act has come up with new care options, and which we always refer as alternative care. So you find that the main objective of alternative care is to ensure that there is that parental care, and it's in accordance to the best interest of the child. But you find that even though there are these alternative cares, after explaining this, then I'll be able to list them. We have the guiding principles. It's not that something that you can just wake up one day and you say that I'm doing this, but there are certain guiding principles that are guiding the alternative care of children, even though it's also captured in the Act. And one of the things that is guiding, one of the guiding principles is that the family is also the top priority in providing care. Secondly, you can find that alternative care has to be participatory in the best interest of the child. Don't do it because of poverty. Like you see, like somebody in the family setup is maybe from a poor background, and you decide that you just need to take that kid out of that place, and unless you have good motives to help, but that has to be the last option. You can help that kid as well when he's within that environment. That is, the child should not be separated from the place that he's used to be. The other thing is siblings should also always be kept together. You should not take, maybe the firstborn is taken to one auntie, the other one is taken to the other auntie, but then these siblings have to be put together in a if they are going to be taken under alternative care, then they have to be in the same place for their also growth, and also the to foster the sibling. You find that institutional care is also being limited, and as per in the next 10 years they're going to phase them out. So we are trying to, the new Children's Act is trying to push for the adoption of this alternative care to ensure that family system keeps on going. And some of this alternative care is, one of them is the kafala system, which is where maybe a family, this involves mostly it involves Muslims. So whenever a parent is not able to take care of their child, and maybe there is that a person professing the Islamic faith can take care of that child under the kafala system, which is something new in the Act. You find that you could have practiced that, but you didn't know the name, but now it's captured in the Act. We have the foster care, which is being added in the Act, where somebody can take a child and take them under their care as foster parents. We also have guardianship. We have adoption, which is commonly in Kenya, adoption. We also have the issue of support of family-headed families, like children-headed families. In addition to that, we also have you have the child-headed families, and then there are those supported who are just at their homes, but they are being supported from their homes. So despite the fact that all these are being advocated in the Act, they have been placed in the Act, one has to meet the guiding principles. And one of them is you should not just do it because you feel that this family is poor. If you're in a position to help them in that setup, then you should do so. Yes, that's what I can submit. Thank you.
That was. Thank you so much. That was. Thank you for sharing such, and still to Mr. Nolly. How can civil society and relevant organizations work through in making sure that moving forward, children can be involved in the opportunities brought by the Act? What are these opportunities?
There are a number of opportunities, and like I've indicated before, is that one, children have a right to participate. So number one is to make sure that children are conversant with the new act. In that aspect, we are encouraging each other that we now need to equip the children so that they can be able to know that act, for them to get privy and conversant with their rights and responsibility. Secondly, is as persons, as individuals, also we need to train the children to be able to promote the act in itself, because an act is a document. If it's a document that will not be having any impact to the society and to the community if it is not put into place. And so if we can empower children so that when they'll be moving to institutions or to spaces where they'll be looked at to be able to participate, they're able to speak from a position of being informed. So also we need to empower the children so that they can be able to look into their safety and well, because if the children are safe and well, we know that able to contribute to the development of our society. So we have a duty and a mandate to make sure that our children also are growing up to being people who can take up our spaces with knowledge and information that will, one, improve and develop them, but two, key contributors of the society who are progressing. Is to have can organize children to harmonize and capture their voices, because the affairs that we as adults, the activities and the issues that we do as adults, they do affect children in one way or the other. So when we create those platform and opportunity, even within our own households, sometimes as parents, we can convene our children and then have a conversation around matters that are progressive to them. It can be something that is about the education, like for example, when we had the committee, the task force on CBC. Those are some of the opportunities where we could have used to mobilize our children so that they can be able to participate in such activities. So, and then another thing also is to equip children so that they can be able to take care of their safety, because at times children might find themselves in danger and they require some way to actually protect themselves. Say, for example, in these times and era whereby children are exposed to the digital platforms, and in those digital spaces, sometimes children stand a risk of being groomed. So we need also to equip and empower children so that they can be able to look and be alert on situations and times when their security and their safety might be in danger. So thank you so much, and I'll take it back to you.
Thank you so much. Another question is that I will ask Madam Faiza. We understand that gender is a critical issue, and so many institutions or rather organizations that are trying as much as possible so that they can try to bring clear guidelines on how we can tackle such cases. Based to your desk, what are some of the developments on gender according to this act that you think that they should be maybe checked, or rather things that should be discussed deeply?
Okay, thank you so much, Collins. I hope you can get me. So if you have gone through the New Children's Act, you'll find that there is a new term that has been defined, and that's an intersex child. Basically, when we talk about gender, it's always the three sexes, which is the male and the female. But now we have the additional third sex, and that is the intersex child, intersex person or intersex child. And you find that when you go through the act, you'll find numerous places where they have, when you start from the definition of terms, you'll find that an intersex child has been defined as a child with congenital condition in which the biological sex characteristics cannot be exclusively classified as either a binary of a male or a female due to maybe inherent or mixed anatomical or hormonal issues. So when you when I define that, I take you back to your biology class where you learned about the chromosomes, the hormones, and all that. So you find that the New Children's Act, that's a milestone that it has defined an intersex child, and that is the third sex that is that we are fighting as a commission. And now I need the assistance of all organizations to fight for them. As I've defined, an intersex person cannot be defined as either male or female. So there are more than 49 intersex characteristics. So you can't just clearly state that one has both. But then there are challenges, and some of the challenges that they go through is what has placed us in a position to fight for their rights. Now, they are one of the special groups that they cannot fight for their own because of the stigma in society. And now, as an organization, we started the fight, and it has been a 12-year journey. And when we talk about the developments on gender according to the Act, they're talking about intersex children. And when you go through the definition, I've read the definition of terms. Section 21 clearly states, when you read Section 21 of the Act, it talks about their right to be treated with dignity as any other child in Kenya. And that's something that has to be upheld. They are children and they are humans. They have their human rights. So any right that applies to a normal person, a normal child, applies to an intersex person. It's just that they have some binary complications from birth, and therefore they should not be discriminated. And that's one thing, they should be treated with dignity. The other thing is they have their right to education. Currently, we have the issue that when you admit parents or maybe uncle, one of you is a parent and uncle, you can attest that right now there's the issue of names. When you get admitted to baby class, you have to have your birth certificate. The concern starts from at birth, whenever you give birth to a child, and you ask if the child is a boy or a girl, but then there's that complication, and the nurse tells you that they totally don't understand what is there. So the discrimination starts from birth, because there you are, people are happy that you have brought a new blessing to the world, but then you start facing the discrimination, because you don't know how your husband will respond, you don't know how your in-laws will respond to maybe this child who is intersex, and it also affects you. And that's where we are trying to fight for their rights, and that is the issue of documentation. From the first day they are born, that's the issuance of the notification. Then it proceeds to the issuance of birth certificate, which will assist them to progress to baby class. And now there is the issue of names. Now their right to education is curtailed, because most of them don't proceed to school because they don't have birth certificate that either read or male or female. And you find that they decided to forego, because you can't, when your name is inputted in the names, they have to tick either male or female, but there's no third sex. So you find that it's hard even for the parent to just come out and take the child to school unless they have adopted a certain sex. The other thing is when they progress with education, they'll get their certificates. That is the KCSE, KCPE certificates. They will read which names. And if maybe I've decided to bring up my child as a girl, and then the body decides to conform to the male physique, then how will I prove that my name is Mary but I am appearing as John? And now the challenge is the issue of documentation. We are fighting for a way that they can be able to change their documents as per the way their bodies have conformed. Because you find that there are some who have been raised as girls and there are some who have been raised as boys. So the discrimination that is there it's a challenge. And when you get to Section 26 of the Act, it clearly states that detention of any person, any child, should be segregated according to their gender. So there has to be prison cells for children, for male, female, and intersex children, which is still not there. So you find that whenever an intersex person or child is arrested, where will they be placed? They can't be placed in the male or the female. So that's also a violation of their right to dignity, because whenever you place them in any cell, then the probability of them being violated is very high. So you find that there are rights set out under the Constitution of Kenya for a normal child is the same one that is carried by an intersex child as they are normal human beings. Yeah, when you read section 64, also they say that child protection units should have segregation by gender. So there has to be a male, female, and an intersex. But you find that currently the journey, and it didn't start today, the first case that was recorded was the baby A case. You can take your time, you go to kenyalaw.org, and you go through the baby A case. It was a case in 2012 where a baby was born and the child was intersex. And now the birth notification could not be issued. And now the registrar was being forced to give the child a birth notification based on the sex of the child. So you find that we still have a journey, but so far I'm happy that we have the journey has been, though we still have a long way to go, but it has been we have made strides. For example, in 2019, if any one of you was counted and asked if they are male, female, or intersex, the intersex persons were counted, and we found that according to the statistics by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, intersex persons in Kenya were around 1,524, those who came out. But then, what of those who are being hidden? Same way children with disabilities are being hidden from the society. Have parents come out to boldly to state that my child indeed is intersex and I'm the first person to fight for their rights? You find that those 1,524, they are the ones who came out. But then we believe there's a huge number of persons who are still hidden because of the societal stigma and the judgment that is there. Some of them have even that is the intersex person's genital mutilation. So the act clearly criminalizes it. If you have an intersex child, don't take them through the process. If you take them through the process, then you are liable to be imprisoned for not a minimum of 3 years. So you find that when you decide to take an intersex child through that process of medical procedure of maybe undergoing surgery, you choose them to be brought up as a girl. What happens when this boy in quotes, you decided to raise them as a girl? What happens when they reach puberty and their body, you know, we can't play with hormones. Whenever they reach that puberty age and the hormones decide that this body has to conform to the male physique, this child has already been messed up, and that's why the act has also criminalized it. Thank you.
Great, great. You have touched on intersex. Still on that, maybe if I can, do you think are there entitlements of intersex children? And maybe you can just give some of the rights. Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. An intersex child is entitled to any right as a human being. You know, human rights begin from the time you're born. So all the rights that apply to a normal person, you have a right to live, you have a right to dignity, you have a right to education, you have a right to medical care, right to protection. All these rights are the intersex children are entitled to it by value of them just being human beings. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Still, we understand that a lot of children are facing discrimination, and people who are handling children, they face a lot of challenges because these children maybe they may suffer from maybe racism, others because of maybe some children may get pregnancy and they may be discriminated. Mr. Nolly, how can those taking care of children do to handle discrimination? Because these are one of the major challenges that guardians face, parents face, and also those the foster care face.
Sorry, I had muted myself. I'm saying challenges on children now are varied from situation to situation. And you'll find that a child who has been born or is living with disability faces the challenges of mobility. And like Faiza has indicated, we had an opportunity to document the number of people who identify as of intersex gender, but few do come up. So there is that aspect of stigma and discrimination still amongst us and communities where there are cases or opportunities for people to advance the rights and well-being of children. And there is the aspect of hostilities for vulnerable and disadvantaged children, because you find that children who are connected to the streets are often at times being viewed as juvenile, being viewed as violent, being viewed as radical. So service provision to this nature of children becomes a challenge. And another challenge also is to do with economic times, because we are challenged to the extent that you'll find that there are growing cases of neglect amongst us in our families, because a parent cannot provide for the child decides to go out to beg, and the parent is not providing for that child. So it becomes a whole challenge altogether for the growth, development, and well-being of that child, because that is the time when that child grows, that child becomes unable to maximize or realize their potential. Another challenge is the multi-stakeholder relations for those who are working for children. And you'll find that it is clearly defined that a child is a child as a being, but a child has needs that are educational. A child has needs that are medical or health related. A child has needs that are security, that are safety related. So having an opportunity whereby there can be a holistic approach into issues that are affecting children, you find that that opportunity is a gap and has not been fully implemented and executed. Thank you so much.
That was quite good. Still on this, and do you think maybe agencies they're doing as much as possible maybe to end discrimination to children?
Different agencies are doing different efforts in terms of intervening for children, because everybody has their own style, their own ability, their own potential to maximize on. Say, for example, issues intervention around health that are being done, of course, by the different Ministry of Health. Interventions around access to justice being done by the judiciary and justice systems actors. You will observe that as much as everyone is trying to do something to the best of their ability for the interest of this child, that opportunity whereby they were able to sit and stock take what we've been able to do is lacking. And that is what is being introduced or provided for in the Act, through the children advisory committees, which is supposed to be convened with the leadership from the county, those who are functioning as CCMs, people from department, those who are into education, those who are into health, those who are into probation and aftercare, prosecution, because there come a time whereby there will be issues that have to be intervened through the judicial system. And so the justice actors like the probation and aftercare and ODPP and the children's court, that is the judiciary, comes to play. So yes, efforts and efforts are being done. The Act has anchored them properly, because even the Act has provided for having a children's court. Like for the case in Mombasa, there is that children's court that can look into children and family-related issues. That is a structure, that is a provision that is put in the Act and is clearly defined who is going to enforce it. That is the children's magistrate who is in charge of that facility. When it comes to issues of protection and life and survival, a child has a right to the highest attainable standard of health, which is provided for and reinforced in that act. When it comes to the issue of protection of those children, it is provided within the act that children have a right to be protection from all forms, any form of any harm. So you'll find that us as a country will provide for the people who are into enforcement, and in enforcement, they also enforce to protect our children. You'll find that also even children have that right to acquire, to develop, which comes in form of education. And within the structure of the within the structure of child protection committees, there is provision for a responsible officer on issues of education. So through education, we are able to build and to empower our children so that they can be able to grow to become adults who can contribute to the socioeconomic development of our society. So those are the provisions and those are the opportunities, and each and every partner is doing into their own ability and also is provided within the Children's Act. Back to you, Collins.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nolly. As a government commission, to you, Madam Faiza, as a government commission, what opportunities do parents and caregivers have to report and seek remedies on violation of children's rights?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Collins. Okay, as a government commission, I can say that we have our contacts, and also we have received complaints, which is physical walk-in clients. So either person, either a caregiver, or you have noticed that the one child in your neighborhood is facing violation, then you can be able to contact us, or you can visit our office. So our office in Mombasa is at Imara building, 10th floor, which is just opposite Pandya Hospital. Those are for the walk-in clients. They can be able to come to us. We treat our cases with confidentiality. So even if you want to seek anonymity when you are reporting the same, maybe it's you see maybe it's a relative and you feel that you have to report anonymous, you can just walk into us or you can just call us. We treat all our cases with the confidentiality that is needed. Our contacts are 0757 29 29 32, 0757 29 29 32. Reverse call us, we can please call us, we'll call back. If you want, if it's something that is going on in the ground and we feel that it's something that we need to investigate, we'll be able to come to the ground and be able to investigate the same. You can also send an SMS to 22359 and we'll be able to pick up the complaint and address it from there on. Yes. Also, in addition to that, we sit at the NCAJ Children, the National Council on Administrative Justice. So we have a representative from the commission. So in case there is any information that you might need to us to address at policy level, then we are able to take it up and then we can undertake the research. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Still on the same. Are there limitations as a commission that you're trying maybe to be, while giving maybe trying to give trainings on violation of children's rights? Are there limitations maybe?
Sorry, can you come up again?
I'm asking, are there
Yes.
limitations as a commission when trying to give training based on violation of children's rights that the days have seen, or rather that you have noticed in your area of expertise?
Okay, we do a lot of advocacy. If I've gotten your question right, we have undertaken to do a lot of advocacy as part of our work, and so far we have even gone ahead to meet the local leaders, those who are called the Nyumba Kumi, the wazee wa mtaa, those wakunga. You know, some places they are still at the border counties, and you find that maybe those wakungas are mostly used. So we always do the advocacy, but we also work closely with the human rights defenders on the ground for any information that is going on in the ground. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Faiza Musa. Mr. Nolly, what are the emerging opportunities for counties to take up in children welfare? And are the county really trying maybe to solve issues based on children's rights and violation in terms of safeguarding? Maybe what is your take?
Number one is that opportunity that the Act has given to counties through the county executive committee members, whereby they are now in the primary convening that advances children's rights, that is the county advisory committee. And you will realize that once they are part of that convening or that committee, they are able to plan adequately for child welfare issues. Yeah, and child welfare issues includes things like around taking care of children who are connected to the streets, because we have street families. Yeah, we have people who are connected to the streets, and in those streets, there are young people or children who are also there. So with that knowledge and that understanding and that presence in that committee, the counties are able to design or develop programs that are targeted to the children in connected to the streets. And also the county has the responsibility and the opportunity to legislate on what they want to do for the children. Yeah, they are able to develop laws within that can be able to drive service delivery to children. So further is that the counties as a county, through their different structures and departments, they are also able to develop welfare programming for the children that includes protecting children, because safety of shelter sometimes can be provided as a social welfare program, whereby for those who are homeless, children who are connected to the streets, that who are not who have no known residents, they can be put in institutions as plans are being developed to integrate them with their communities and their societies. So Also, the county has an opportunity and a responsibility to commit resources, because as a county, we are allocated resources from the exchequer, from the national treasury, the national basket that comes down to us. And as we're doing plans as a county, the mother 5-year plan, the county integrated development plan, it is an opportunity and a responsibility for them to actually be at a position to be able to commit resources and plans that will contribute to the growth, development, and well-being of the children. And in doing so, they also have a responsibility and a duty to confirm that services that are provided to children, for example, the case of pediatric services, I mean, medical services to children, educational services to children, are done to the required standard. So there comes in the opportunity and the responsibility to issue, to offer, to offer enforcement. Say, for example, you'll find that an individual or a community has developed an institution of learning that targets children, or an health facility that targets children. So the county has a responsibility through its housing and its housing units. It's concerned officers on issues of housing to be able to come and inspect such facility and for them to be certified as habitable and favorable for children. If it's public health are a mandate of the county. And in fact, that we hear cases of outbreaks that get to affect children. So in definition and provisions of members of the county, the officers of the county, the duty bearers at the county level who have been put into the county advisory committee as defined in that act, they can further that responsibility to undertake those many services and responsibilities that I've spoke about, and of course many others that they might think are necessary, because the county also have an opportunity to work with the National Council for Children's Services, work with them so that they can be able to develop child welfare programs that are of their own choices, depending on their own needs and their own challenges.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. You have touched on sick children, and we have, for instance, we have seen counties, for example, Mombasa County, vandalizing sick children's homes, and by the end of the day, you find that these children are being scattered. Is it that the county does not have plan for these sick children, or is that they don't know about the children's right, or they don't have the remedies or rather the solutions, because this thing, it has been happening for more than a decade now. And as an organization, has it come to your attention that these things are happening, and what are some of the maybe solutions that the organization trying to give to the counties in terms to solve such kind of issues?
Thank you for that. You see, everything works in a plan. Yeah. So we are aware what are the rights of a child, yeah, as provided for in the Constitution and in the Children's Act. And the Act has gone further to create a structure, which is the Children Advisory Committee. So through that structure, they are supposed to define what we call child welfare programs. Yeah. And services that are supposed to be provided to children who are connected to the streets are more or less welfare programs. Yeah. So the counties have, for a long instance, assumed that the issue of street connected children is a security issue, because it comes with threat, it comes with affecting the environment. So, and also there are some counties that perceive the street connected children are not from within that county. They mostly come from the neighboring counties. And you'll find that planning for them becomes a challenge. It has been a challenge for planning and budgeting simply because there was no that clear anchorage of children issues. Yeah, because we had a 2001, we had a 2001 Children's Act. We had a devolution in 2010, and here we are. How do we get to intervene children issues? Like right now, there are two children issues that are given to the county. The child welfare program and the ECD, early grade development, which is supposed to be done by the county. But there are other issues that are affecting children in line of health, in line of education. If children are in primary education system, still the county has a duty to provide, say, furniture, so that when children are in that institution of learning, because most public primary and secondary institutions are under the counties. So it is the duty of the county to make sure that the schools are habitable for children. And while children are in those institutions, they are able to learn and to grow. Yeah. So the counties have not really ran away from the responsibility of taking care of connected children. It's only that the structures that we had then could not clearly define what responsibility or what action they can take as a county. So now with this act, we hope and we anticipate that the county will pick up their role at their role at the area advisory committee, and of course their mandate to develop child welfare program as a county or in consultation with the National Council for Children's Services, so that they can take the street connected children's issue with ease. Because even we have an institution, a government institution that is Street Family Rehabilitation Trust, that has a fund in itself. So counties can work with the Street Family Rehabilitation to seek resources to develop facilities, say things like on sanitation. In those, what we have as public toilets, there can be such facilities where children can come for halfway, in the sense that in foreign countries, those who are street connected have a place where they can go take a shower and then change their clothing. So even counties can provide for that. That can be a program that the county can design within their program and put it in their development plan, so they can be able to make sure that children or street connected children live in dignity and they're growing up to responsible members of our society. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nolly. Thank you for understanding the opportunity that the counties need to take in terms of children's welfare, and also you bring clear understanding that the county should have, or rather to do, in solving the menace in street children. From where you sit, Madam Faiza Musa, do you think what are the responsibilities, the duty bearers, now how that has come up with the act?
Okay, thank you, Collins. You find that as duty bearers, we are like secondary caregivers. And you find that according to the act, there is that responsibility that has been given, the parental responsibility. As a parent, you are a duty bearer because you owe that child a duty of care. And the moment you carry that, then the burden of taking care of that child, it's your responsibility. So you find that there is that role that the parents will play, there is that role that the county governments will play, and there is that role that us as duty bearers, us as institutions, away from our institutional level, what are we undertaking to ensure that we are playing a role? And one thing as institution we can always do is ensure that we always advocate and fight for children's rights, because we are secondary caregivers. And in addition to that, we can always ensure that information is there whenever you have conversation in any engagement. The conversation on children's rights has to be something that is at the core, because it's something that involves our daily life, and passing the same message to even the guardians, the parents, and any person who is taking care of these children. Some of the other indulgence that you can have is responsibilities. We can influence, even if you're at the policy level, that you can influence policy change, legislative change. Then you have a duty to fight for the children who are voiceless. If you feel that your idea can create an impact in a life of a child somewhere, then you can bring out the idea and see how it can influence maybe a legislative change. It could be a journey that starts from there. We see that in the act. Apart from that, we see that in the act, there's that a role that every parent has to play to ensure that their children, they take a child to an institution for basic education. It's also the role of parents, both as parents, as the father and the mother, whether you are separated or whether you are together, to ensure that there is equal parental responsibility, to ensure that this child gets education, gets good health care, gets good clothing, gets basic nutrition. So this is a role that is set out under Section 30 of the Act, that as parents, whether you are separated or not, then you have equal responsibility. You should not say that I had an issue with the mom and so I should not do something. I've stopped taking care of. That's still your responsibility as a parent, and that's clearly set out in the Act. In addition to that, it clearly sets out that whether a child is born out of wedlock or within, then as parents you have equal responsibility, and that's a role that you have to play. In addition to that, it clearly states in the Act that one parent should not feel superior, have that superior right over a child. We see in cases where you find that one parent maybe has the child and they exercise that superior right over the child, over the other partner. So the Act clearly states that you should not exercise that superior right. You should play that responsibility as two parents, and that's something that is granted to both parents. In addition to that, we see an extension where there are children who are past 18 years, and you can apply for an extension for care, because you find that when you get to 18 years, then your care, maybe most parents, they stop. But then there are exceptional circumstances where if this child is proved to be in need of care of a parent, then it's the responsibility of a parent to extend that care, and using that explanation that maybe this person is a PWD and cannot fend for themselves, they cannot take care of themselves. Now, when even if they are above 18 years, they can still be deemed as still under care, and it's the responsibility of the parent to take care of them. We see that you have a responsibility as a parent, and also the county government, to ensure that the right to leisure is respected. Every child needs to play in a public ground, and that's why in the Act it clearly says that every government needs to set a space in their county governments to ensure that children are able to exercise their right to leisure. They go out, they play, they exercise their right. So it's the responsibility of the parent to ensure that your child leaves the house and go to play, and it's the responsibility of the county government and the government to ensure that there is a place where these children can go out and exercise their right. In addition to that, we see that guardianship. Whenever you take a child under guardianship, you take full responsibility for it. Whenever the parents are deceased, you take full responsibility for it. Whatever you're going to do to your own child bears the same responsibility with that child you have taken under guardianship. In addition to that, you find that those there are children who have succession matters. These guardians have a responsibility to ensure that they receive the property of the estate of the child, now that, and hold them in trust. They should not use it for their own gain. They should hold it in trust and ensure that they set out measures to mitigate property damage or anything that might affect the estate of the child until they reach an age that they can be able to take care of the property by themselves. But whenever they hold it in trust, then they should take care of it as their own property, but not misuse it or use it for personal gain. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just as I conclude, as a commission, is there a need for maybe? Do you think that the act will help solve or reduce violation to children?
Basically, okay, thank you for that. Basically, you see that children are a very special group of people, and have rights that these children have. It places them at a more specialized level that it has been they have been able to prioritize what the act truly needs. We are hopeful that this act will improve the lives of children, and also the violations will come down. But also we are happy that intersex children are captured there, because it is a milestone that at least whenever we visit maybe a community or somewhere, we can able to back up that the Children Act has stated this, and now you should start fighting for their rights as parents. Be the first people to fight for it. And whenever we have discussions with the elders at the ground level, anywhere we meet those local administration, we try as much as possible. The first thing we always do is sensitize them on the Children's Act. And when you go through the Children's Act, which I appeal that you all do, is that you find there's more information on how we are going to protect our children for the next 10 years. We believe that after the phasing out of the CCIs, which are the children charitable care institutions, like after 10 years, there'll be another, maybe we'll have a repeal of the same act. But whenever we sensitize them, we also capture the issue of the new issues that have come in, and that is explaining to them, like children under 12 years, they are not criminally liable. We are able to tell them that whenever you have issues that with a child in conflict with the law, then whenever the matter is diverted, is not the fact that it does not mean that this matter has been taken out to court, or maybe there's been bribed. So there are so many things that have come in the new act, and there are so many organizations that are involved. There's a role that each organization has to play. You find that the ODPP is incorporated there because of the children in conflict with the law. We cannot run away from the children officers, because they are key critical people in this act. So I believe that this act will be a stride in the fight against violation of children.
Thank you so much. Lastly, I finalize to Mr. Nolly. Do you think the Act has advanced access to justice for children?
I'd say yes, in terms of accessing or bringing justice to children, because there is the aspect of the children's courts, which like we observe are handling mostly children-related cases and family and children-related issues at the county. So yes, that contributes to access to justice for children. And then number two is that it has provided for keeping children at the shortest time possible in institutions. Yeah, if it is possible, children to stay with their own community. That is, you find that a number of facilities, childcare institutions, majorly you'll hear that a child is an orphan. So this child is an orphan, but is there a community where this child is coming from? So that to me is an aspect of justice to this child. And then that there are those children who find themselves on the wrong side of the law. And you'll find that in some instances, they have to be kept in a cell as they are yet to be produced to the court. So it has also clearly defined that when children get into conflict with the law, they need to be put in a place that dignifies them, yeah, and they should not be mixed with adults. You understand? So in those instances whereby you'll find that the counties will be able to fully effect the act, that is also the national police services, whereby there is need of having what we call a child protection center, a child protection center, whereby a child who is in conflict with the law is able to be put away from adults, because they might be there because they're in conflict with the law. They might be there as a way of rescue. So yes, it also provides for the safety and security of that child. So in my opinion, yes, the Act has tried its best to make sure that children are accessing justice through varied means and varied interventions. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, and that has been a very, very insightful and educative session that I have had with you. And let me say that this is, I think that it has been that the institution needs to put a concern about Children's Act, and I believe that the community need to understand some of the rights of children, and putting this into consideration, that I believe that by the end of the day, we are going to solve the menace. Let me congratulate you guys. Let me congratulate Faiza Musa, a legal officer for Kenya National Commission for Human Rights, for taking your time to discuss issues that is attached to your office on matters of children's rights, and based on Act 2022. And also let me thank you, Mr. Nolly, for that time that you have had with us, and also trying to share your views on how can organizations try to sail up in terms of improving children's rights based on violation, discrimination, and so many issues. This is a very wide topic, and I believe that with time we are going to get to understand and get people to understand about the Children's Act. My prayer is that we may not stop at this, that I will be expecting you again another time, so that we can still continue with the same in discussing the same issue, and also inviting stakeholders to come to understand the children's diversity. And that has been my time. And let me say thank you so much, and God bless you. This is Mwambao Media. Thank you so much.